Chapter 41 Defeat Wang Ba and Sneak into Tiantai Peak. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Moreover, he had just breaking through 3 realms in a row, and his body was full of energy, and he needed to vent it urgently. He was going to find Yuankang immediately, but he didn't expect that before he went to find Yuankang, Wang Ba would come without a fight. He was really looking for death. Hearing Changge's harsh words, Wang Ba turned his nose up and said coldly, "Ha ha ha, I want to see how you can't leave this." Boom! A terrifying wave rushed out of his body, sweeping in all directions, bones and joints roared, tigers and leopards thundered, and crackled. "Son, I was going to escort you to the punishment hall, but now think about it, why bother? Wouldn't it be easier to kill you on the spot?" Wang Ba shouted angrily. In fact, it was not the case, it was Changge's harsh words to him just now, and he immediately realized that this was a disguised admission. Then there is no need for the punishment hall to check the evidence, just kill him directly. Boom! Wang Ba's fist blasted, the air exploded, and a terrifying sonic boom was heard. The fist wind rolled like thunder. Crackling. "Wang Ba, I can only say that you came to the wrong Lin Fang." Looking at the iron fist coming towards his face, Changge remained calm and sneered, "Your cousin is looking for death, and you are also looking for death like him." He knew why Wang Shan was killed. Why can't he fix it back when others want to fix him? What's the reason? Boom! In an instant, Changge's body was under pressure, and the breath of the blood-moving realm was like a tornado and rain, and it broke out in full force. Boom! The house exploded directly and was shattered into pieces by the impact. Changge stood in the fragments, like a god of war, and billions of cell particles and blood in his body were moved one after another. Under the blessing of powerful cultivation, they surged and flowed, and the meridians burst like thunder. What? Sensing this breath, Wang Ba's eyelids jumped, and he said in horror, "Move, blood realm." Suddenly, he understood why Wang Shan died here. He was originally very curious. Changge was just a transparent person who couldn't practice cultivation. He could only be a vase. How could he kill his cousin? But who would have thought that he was actually a strong man in the blood-moving realm? Hidden deep. For a moment, his face changed drastically and he howled, "How could it be possible? How could it be possible?" Boom! Changge's fist blasted, the air exploded, the sonic boom was like a thunderbolt, shocking people's lungs, and blasted heavily. Wang Ba's face changed again and again, and he wanted to retract his fist, but it was too late. Changge's fist had already hit him horizontally. Crack! Crack! In an instant, the fists of both sides slammed into each other fiercely, and a sharp sound of bone joints bursting suddenly broke out. Wang Ba's fist was directly blasted into pieces, shattered inch by inch, bones splattered, and blood flowed. And Changge's fist didn't even break the skin, and he continued to blast forward with the remaining strength. Crack! The fist smashed through like a dead tree, and Wang Shan's entire arm was directly pierced through, with broken bones and blood splattering. His whole face turned pale and he screamed, "Ah! My arm! My arm!" The whole arm was forcibly pierced through, and the shoulder was also removed, revealing the white bone inside, and the broken bones and blood burst, turning into a sad and beautiful blood mist. The piercing pain made his face crazy and his whole body tremble. So, is this the strength of the blood-moving realm? This thought just flashed through his mind. Boom! Changge attacked again and punched him in the face. Wang Ba was shocked and hurriedly urged his true chi to form a true chi light shield on his body surface. Bang ka! Changge punched the body's chi shield, and Wang Ba's chi shield exploded directly. Then he was punched on the head. His head was like a fragile watermelon, and it was directly blown up. Red and white things splashed, and blood rained down. Plop! His headless body fell heavily, his limbs twitched a few times, and then he didn't move. At the last moment of death, he suddenly realized that he really couldn't leave here now. After killing people, Changge quickly searched his body for a while and successfully found a storage bag around his waist. After opening it and taking a quick look, there were more than 9,000 high-grade spirit stones in it, and there were others, but Changge didn't have time to check it carefully, so he tied the bag up and put it on his body. Afterwards, he punched Wang Ba hard again. Ka-cha-ka. Bang! Wang Ba's whole body exploded inch by inch, and was destroyed into a ball of blood mist. Afterwards, Changge went to the back mountain to fetch a few buckets of water and washed away the bloodstains at the scene, making sure that no traces were left. Then he went to cut some wood to build a new house. Finally, he suppressed his cultivation to the Dharma realm, changed into a grey robe similar to Wang Ba, and then disguised himself according to Wang Ba's appearance. Not long after, he transformed himself into Wang Ba, and then left. Taifeng, Changge, who had disguised himself as Wang Ba, easily entered Taifeng without any inspection and had a smooth journey. Many disciples greeted Wang Ba in a friendly manner when they saw him. "Hello, Senior Brother Wang." "Hello, Senior Brother Wang." Changge nodded without showing any emotion and walked into Taifeng. Not long after, he arrived in front of a luxurious courtyard. This was Yuankang's residence. Yuankang was a talent and was highly valued in Taifeng. His food and accommodation were far beyond what ordinary disciples could compare. Chapter 42 Send You to Heaven. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Changge entered the mansion. This is a luxurious courtyard with excellent decoration and wealth. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he sneaked into the enemy's hinterland without anyone noticing. What a bunch of stupid pigs. Tap. Tread. At this time, a group of disciples suddenly walked in from outside, all coming to find Yuankang. These are all disciples of the strange old man from Taifeng. They usually have a good relationship with Yuankang and treat each other as brothers. Therefore, when they have nothing to do, they will come to Yuankang to ask questions. When they saw Wang Ba here, they all bowed and saluted, saying respectfully, "Hello, Senior Brother Wang." Changge nodded and asked, "What are you doing here?" "I have encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation, and I would like to ask Senior Brother Hu to help me solve my problem." A disciple said. Everyone else nodded one after another. Yuankang is a well-known talent in Taifeng. He can understand the truth in it and draw inferences from one instance to another in just a moment by looking at the classics. Changge lowered his voice and said, "I happened to be looking for him, but he went out and seemed to have gone to the main peak. You go and look for him there." After hearing this, these disciples saluted and thanked each other. "Thank you very much, Senior Brother Wang. Then let's go to the main peak." "Well, go ahead." Changge nodded expressionlessly. "Call out." A burst of wind sound passed by, and all the disciples just now disappeared. After confirming that they were far away, Changge walked deep into the mansion and knocked on the door of a tall and magnificent attic. "Who?" came an angry voice from inside. Yuankang was studying the exercises inside, but this exercise was very strange. He still couldn't get the key points and was a little irritated. But now when he heard the knock on the door, he suddenly felt disturbed. "It's me, Wang Ba." Changge lowered his voice. "It turns out to be Senior Brother Wang." Yuankang was shocked and hurriedly opened the door and said respectfully, "Senior Brother Wang, why are you here? Please come in quickly." Wang Ba is at the 9th level of Dharma realm, but he is only at the 8th level, so he has always been respectful to Wang Ba. Changge walked in swaggeringly and sat on the upper seat with a majestic look. Yuankang made a cup of tea, brought it over respectfully, and said with a smile on his face, "I wonder if Senior Brother Wang is here. Do you have any advice?" "I don't have any advice. I just had good luck recently and got a treasured sword. I didn't take advantage of it, so I wanted to give it to you." Changge took a sip of tea, and said calmly, "It's just that when he said the word send, his tone obviously changed and became heavier. Immediately, he took out the dragon-slaying knife. Yuankang looked at the knife, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he was so happy. He could clearly feel that this knife was so thick and domineering. Just the sharpness of the knife's inadvertent burst made him almost unbearable. He tried to lift it, but immediately took 3 steps back. His expression changed, and he exclaimed in shock, "So heavy? What a good knife. It really is a good knife, that he has never seen such a powerful sword. This is the first time he has seen it, and the other party wants to give it to him. How can he not be excited? This thing is called the dragon-slaying knife. Is it qualified to use it as a gift to you? Changge said expressionlessly. Qualified. Qualified. Senior brother Wang is worthy of being a senior brother. He has great righteousness in his heart, that Yuankang did not hear the meaning of his words, and his eyes showed gratitude. If senior brother Wang does not dislike it, I would like to swear an oath to you and become brothers. I wonder if you are willing. In that case, I have no choice but to accept it as my brother. Changge said lightly, but his words became a little colder, but Yuankang was too excited to notice. Okay. From now on, you are brother and I am brother. Yuankang looked happy, the other party came to give him such a powerful treasure. Although he didn't know why, he thought about it carefully and found that he and Wang Ba had no bad relationship in his memory. They usually had a good relationship. Brother, you don't have to be polite. Since you and I have become brothers, why not let me give you a ride? Changge said again at this time. After hearing his words, Yuankang was a little stunned. What do you mean by giving me a ride? He said hurriedly, No, senior brother Wang, you are confused. This is my mansion, I don't need to go back. However, what he didn't expect was that the next words of Wang Ba shocked him. No, it's my brother, you are confused. I want to give it away. Send you to the west. This precious sword is worthy of being sent to you to go to the west. The words just fell. Boom, the huge sword rolled around like thunder, the sword was like thunder, strong wind blew against the face, and the tables and chairs rattled. Yuankang's face turned pale and he said in horror, Senior brother Wang, why did you? Crack, Changge didn't talk nonsense. He slashed down hard with the dragon-slaying knife, pouring 1,000,000 kilograms of weight onto Yuankang's head. Before the knife could strike, the weight alone crushed his face to pieces, crushing him heavily to the ground, and then the sharp blade sliced through melons and vegetables. Blood splattered everywhere, and Yuankang could barely resist. His body was cut in half, lifeless. There was a big gash in the floor. Then, Changge fumbled around on his body for a while and successfully obtained a storage bag. Immediately afterwards, Changge thought, and the dragon-slaying knife disappeared from his hand. Then, walk out from the back door and fly away on the flying sword. The whole process was very smooth and fast, and no one in the entire Taifeng noticed it. Yuankang died quietly, and no one knew about it. Changge flew on the sword and went straight back to the back mountain of Lihua Peak. He went into the clear pond to take a bath, and then changed into a brand new white dress, as if nothing had happened, and he was calm and composed. Chapter 43, Counting the Harvest, Thunder Blade, Phantom Step. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A full hour passed. A disciple came to the mansion to look for Yuankang. When he knocked on the door but got no response, he pushed the door open and walked in. A little later, he came out in a state of shock. His expression changed drastically. Brother who has fallen. As soon as these words came out, the entire Taifeng was immediately shocked. Not long after, the strange old man arrived with a large number of people and entered Yuankang's house. Looking at the body that was cut in half, he was shocked and angry, and roared in anger. Who is it? The strange old man was called Du Sihai, with a mean face and a notoriously sinister character, but because of his high level of cultivation, no one could do anything to him. This Taifeng is united against the outside world. The one who killed him must be someone from somewhere else. An elder looked very unhappy, and suddenly took a breath, realizing something, and said in a lost voice, Hiss. Killing silently inside Taifeng, the other party must be a master. As soon as these words came out, a whole row of gasps sounded all around. Yes, Yuankang was killed without any notice at all, so silently. This is undoubtedly a provocation, and also a slap in the face of their Taifeng. Du Sihai's face was extremely gloomy, and his angry roar was like thunder, and he jumped up and said, investigate. Investigate for me. I want to know who did it. If anyone dares to kill me, I will make him live a life worse than death." That the thunderous roar shook the entire typhoon. Many disciples came upon hearing the news, and when they saw Yuankang's miserable condition, they all gasped. Someone actually killed people wantonly in their territory. So cruel. Typhoon is no longer safe. Shua. At this moment, a middle-aged man in green arrived, with a sharp sword pressure. Everyone felt a sharp sword intent coming, and felt that their skin was almost cut. The sword maniac, a strong man in the palace of gods, was enough to sweep any blood-moving realm. Even the 9th level of blood-moving realm could not withstand his sword. After the blood-moving realm, it is the palace of gods. Sword maniac, you came just in time. Du Sihai glanced at him and shouted coldly, "This matter is handed over to you. Within 3 days, I want to see the result." That the sword maniac has no name, only a code name. He is a cruel and ruthless swordsman, and is Du Sihai's private force, the dead man. Under the attention of the crowd, the sword maniac nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, "Peak Master, I suspect that this matter is inseparable from Lihua Peak. The whole incident is very simple. Yesterday, Yuankang went to Lihua Peak to convey Du Sihai's words, but in the end he was slapped with blood all over his face and came back in a mess, and the second day after coming back, she was killed. If it had nothing to do with Lihua Peak, who would believe it? Was it that woman who did it?" Du Sihai suddenly guessed something and said coldly. "No, Yi Qingyao shouldn't do it herself, it's easy to be caught." The sword maniac pondered for a while and said carefully, "Because she slapped Yuankang yesterday. If she comes to kill again, others will definitely suspect her. She is not a stupid person, so she will naturally not do such a stupid thing. Then who do you think did it?" Du Sihai was extremely angry. A gleam of light flashed in the corner of the sword maniac's eyes, and he said coldly, "Su Changge. Du Sihai's eyelids jumped and suddenly smiled. "That guy can't practice, he's just a vase. Changge wants to kill him. It's like slaughtering pigs and dogs. How can he kill Changge?" The sword maniac shook his head and said, "The Peak Master is wrong. There are only 2 of them in Lihua Peak. If it's not Yi Qingyao, then it must be him." Du Sihai was very annoyed and said in a voice transmission, "No matter what, this matter is left to you. Since you think it's that guy, then investigate that guy first. Investigate quietly and don't let the sect master find out. Raising a dead man is Du Sihai's secret and cannot be exposed. The sword maniac's identity is his staff. Many people in the sect don't know the true identity of the sword maniac. Only Du Sihai knows it clearly. And this time, facing the assassination against Typhoon, Typhoon dispatched a dead man for the first time. In the house, Su Changge is counting the harvest. In front of him are 2 storage bags. This is the spoils obtained from Wang Ba and Yuankang. He first opened Wang Ba's, took out the 9,000 spirit stones, and then began to search for other things. Not long after, he found hundreds of pills, all of which contained rich spiritual energy. In addition, there were some yellow-level medicinal materials and some Xian-level general weapons. When he turned to the bottom of the bag, Su Changge suddenly discovered that there was a local sword technique, Thunder Overlord sword. DG sword technique. His pupils lit up. "I didn't expect there was a local sword technique. This wave is good." His dragon-slaying sword has always been wielded with brute force, and he has never used any sword technique. Now this sword technique comes at the right time. But he naturally won't learn this sword technique. Isn't it good to learn the subsidy from the system? The strongest sword technique in Wang Ba's storage bag is this sword technique. In addition, there are some valuable things. Su Changge roughly estimated that it can be sold for nearly 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. Next, he began to search Yuankang's bag. Compared to Wang Ba, Yuankang was obviously inferior to Ling. There were only more than 5,000 high-grade spirit stones in his storage bag, which were glittering, and some low-grade herbs that he couldn't name, however. At the bottom of his storage bag, there was a mysterious footwork. Su Changge was overjoyed when he saw it. Phantom step. that he blurted it out. After reading a few pages, Changge suddenly realized that this step method can increase the user's speed by 100 times, and walk like the wind. Once it is performed, the speed is so fast that only a residual image is left along the way, just like a phantom. Okay, without further ado, I will go to swipe the subsidy, that he pushed the door and went to Yi Qingyao's residence. Chapter 44, Beat Up All Those Who Disobey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after Changge left, a ray of light flashed across the peak of the platform, and a figure with a terrifying aura escaped here, filled with sharp sword intent. He is clearly a swordsman. Looking at the empty wooden house in front of him, Jianchi's eyes flashed with light and he said, "It's too late. But it's very convenient for me," that he entered the house and searched around, but found nothing suspicious. In the end, he had no choice but to hide behind the cabin and wait. Along the familiar road, Changge quickly arrived in front of the hospital. Yi Qingyao's courtyard door was still ajar, so he opened it with a gentle push. "Disciple," that seeing him coming, Yi Qingyao's eyes lit up, and her eyes were filled with youthful light. Changge stepped forward, took her into his arms, lowered his head and said with a smile, "Master, I'm here to give you a gift again." Feeling his warm embrace, Yi Qingyao felt her heart beating wildly, and a blush like a blooming flower appeared on her white and crystal-clear cheeks. When Changge came this time, she actually expected that he might be bringing gifts to herself again, because the first few times he came here, they all gave gifts to himself. "Disciple, you are so kind to my teacher. I really don't know how to repay you." Yi Qingyao opened her red lips and whispered softly. Although she still didn't know what kind of gift this time was, she also expected that it would not be an ordinary thing. As soon as his disciple has something good, he immediately comes to give it to him without any secrets. This is really touching and cannot be repaid. Changge slowly moved his arms down, hugged her slender waist, and just caressed Yi Qingyao's slender waist. Yi Qingyao's pretty face suddenly turned redder, like a blooming rose, shy and charming, waiting to bloom. This, disciple, please be gentle." Instead, Changge hugged her tighter and said with a smile, "Master, isn't this repayment?" That Yi Qingyao was stunned for a moment, and then her cheeks turned red, like the sunset beside her. "Yes, isn't it just repayment by committing yourself to something? Business matters." Changge took out the 2 books of exercises and handed them over, saying, "Master, these 2 books are Thunder Sword and Phantom Step respectively. They are given to you, take them." That Yi Qingyao was touched, took it, held it tightly in his arms, and said, "Disciple, it's great to have you. The same goes for disciples." Changge smiled and then prepared to leave. "Wait a minute." Yi Qingyao stopped him with some reluctance. She also wanted to stay with Changge for a while. "What's wrong, master?" Changge asked. "You don't have to worry about things that you can't practice. My teacher will find a way for you." Yi Qingyao became solemn and said, "And you don't have to worry about this martial arts competition. As long as my master is here, you will definitely be able to participate. Actually, just now, my master has gone to the sect master to discuss it. I told him that you have decided to participate in this martial arts competition." That she just went to the main peak and told the sect leader that Lihua Peak must participate in this conference. The sect leader didn't say much. He just told her that this matter was indeed the idea of the weird old man from Typhon. The strange old man thinks that Luofeng is just a disciple. What's the difference? Isn't this a waste of Dabi's time? Besides, that disciple cannot practice and is transparent. What if such a person comes on stage and is punched to death? Wouldn't it be a big shame for Luofeng? Knowing this, Yi Qingyao secretly made up his mind to find a way to help Changge practice and become stronger. Hearing her words, Changge was moved. He clenched his fists and made an oath in his heart. "When the martial arts tournament comes, I will definitely show respect to master. Destroy all dissatisfaction. Let those who look down on Lihua Peak change their minds." That he looked towards the direction of the peak, his fists clattered, and he shouted in his heart, "Old man, when the competition starts, I will blow your disciple's head off." By the way, Yi Qingyao suddenly remembered something and said, "How about this? I will buy you a powerful monster and use it to make up for the gaps in your cultivation. What do you think? Monsters are allowed to be brought into the tournament, and monsters are also part of a monk's strength. It is worth mentioning that the martial arts tournament is not a single duel, but a two-team duel. Each disciple can find a teammate to form a team, so that the chance of winning is greater. Generally, in the end, the less powerful disciple will win. He will withdraw from the battle for the Holy Sun, but if he can help others win the position of the Holy Sun, the rewards he will receive are immeasurable. Oh, Su Changge's heart moved, can you bring monsters with you? Then when the bite comes out, wouldn't it mean to directly kill everyone? Okay, then you can help me buy a monster beast. Although there were already monsters, he did not reject Yi Qingyao, nothing else, too pretentious. What bothers him most is the pretentious rejection, and with one more monster, it also has more combat power, making it even more powerful, so why not? Well, that's settled then. Yi Qingyao planned to buy him a cloud-riding horse. It was extremely powerful and could not only be used for flying in the air, but also for fighting, but there are also disadvantages, that is, it is very expensive and requires a lot of money, but she felt that it was natural to spend money on her disciples. By the way, Yi Qingyao added, you still need a teammate. When the time comes, I will find you a stronger one and give him some reward when it's over. Well, thank you, master. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. Su Changge thanked him. Okay, go ahead. Su Changge turned and left. He wanted to see what kind of skills the system had subsidized. Watching him leave, Yi Qingyao felt empty in her heart, as if her heart had been stolen by him. Chapter 45 Super Critical Hit Reward, Supreme Gale Electric Knife, Taichu Shadow Ghost Step. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Changge was walking on his way home. Before he even got to the destination, the system subsidy had arrived. Ding! You gave away the Lingji Sword Technique Thunder Tyrant Sword and the Xian level Footwork Phantom Step, and the 10 billion subsidy took effect, triggering an overcritical strike. This overcritical strike multiple, 375,000 times. Congratulations to the host for getting Taishan Gale Electric Knife. Taichu Shadow Ghost Step. It's really 2 books. Su Changge was delighted and couldn't close his mouth. At the beginning of the gift, he thought that since he gave away 2 books this time, the subsidy should also be 2 books, right? Now that the subsidy is in place, it's as expected. The system voice sounded, Taishan Gale Electric Knife, a level sword technique. An immortal king in ancient times used it to split Huashan Mountain, which is extremely terrifying and has a total of 20 layers. When it is cultivated to the extreme, it can cut 20 knives in an instant, with sparks and lightning all the way, and every knife is fatal. Fuck, Su Changge couldn't help but be overjoyed. Oh my god, 20 cuts in an instant. No wonder it's called the Gale Electric Knife. Even if you're single for 20 years, you can't catch up with this hand speed. And there are fireworks and lightning all the way, what a great special effect. The budget is burning. You can imagine how painful it would be for the enemy to be cut 20 times in an instant. Immediately, he set his sights on Taichu Shadow Ghost Step. The system voice also sounded, Taichu Shadow Ghost Step, level step method, a secret method that was not passed on by a huge force called Taichu Holy Land in ancient times. It is divided into 26 levels. Once it is fully cultivated, you can hide in the shadow, whether it is the shadow of the wall or the shadow of the tree. Even if it is a human figure, you can hide in it and lurk in it silently, and you can ignore the distance and flash between the shadows. Fuck, this is even cooler. Su Changge's eyelids jumped, and he was really amazed. This footwork is simply a life-saving artifact. Whether you are chasing or being chased, you can hide in the opponent's shadow directly, and then kill the opponent without knowing it. This is life-threatening. The most important thing is that it can flash between shadows regardless of distance. Doesn't that mean that no matter how far the distance is, as long as there is a shadow within sight, you can teleport into the shadow? Suddenly, Su Changge understood why this is the secret method of Taichu Holy Land, because once you are targeted by someone who practices this footwork, you will be caught up by the opponent without even knowing it, and then be killed silently. This is too creepy. If this is passed on to outsiders, what will happen? This footwork is a perfect match with the Gale electric knife. Immediately, Changge planned to start practicing. Anyway, there were not many people around, so he simply practiced while walking. Soon. 1 floor. 2 floors. 4 floors. 8 floors. 15th floor. 18th floor. 20th floor. In just a short while, Changge had fully cultivated the supreme Gale electric knife. As for the primordial shadow ghost step, he looked at it for a while, and it took him about 10 minutes to fully cultivate it. The reason for such a fast speed is that, on the one hand, he has a transparent physique without impurities, and has a strong ability to accept things. Secondly, it is because the skills he got back have all been analyzed by the system, which is easy to understand and very easy to use. After the practice, Changge exhaled a breath of turbid air, and felt that the mysteries in his mind were surging, like the waves of a river. The mysteries of the supreme Gale electric knife and the primordial shadow ghost step rolled in his mind, and were absorbed and digested by him, and finally settled down and perfectly understood. After the practice, he planned to find a place without any worries to try the power of the supreme Gale electric knife, but just when he took a step, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed in his mind, and he thought of something. If I can improve my cultivation, wouldn't the power of this sword technique be even stronger? That it was just a coincidence that he was about to absorb the remaining half of the spirit stone, but Wang Ba, that idiot, came to kill him, but now he can continue to absorb. Immediately, he entered the system space and prepared to absorb. Master. In the system space, Shi transformed into a human form to greet him, his red clothes swaying in the wind, and his tail swaying gently. Chapter 46, Break the Blood and Step on the Temple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Changge looked at her and smiled. Sure, I think the colored gauze you wore at the beginning is very beautiful. It's thin and shows your figure. It's very beautiful. Although the red dress on Shi's body is also beautiful, the material of this dress is very thick, which blocks the beautiful figure and looks a little bloated. Shi smiled and changed into the colored gauze she wore at the beginning. The colored gauze is very thin, like silk, and her whole temperament is more outstanding, like a fairy in the mortal world. Changge chatted with her for a few more words, and then he didn't waste any more time and began to absorb the spirit stone. Buzz, that he placed his palm on the spirit stone mountain, and the rolling spiritual energy immediately poured into his body at a rapid speed, transforming into pure power. Boom, in just a moment, he began to break through. 8th level of the blood-moving realm. 9th level of the blood-moving realm. Half-step to the divine palace. Boom, 1st level of the divine palace realm. 3rd level of the divine palace realm. 5th level of the divine palace realm. 9th level of the divine palace realm. In a short while, all the spirit stones were absorbed, leaving only a few top-grade spirit stones. With continuous absorption, Changge's cultivation level soared like a rocket, breaking through the shackles of the blood-moving realm and reaching the 9th level of the divine palace in one fell swoop. He opened his eyes were as deep as the starry sky, flashing with wisdom, like starlight, and the aura on his body became deeper and vaster. He did not absorb the remaining top-grade spirit stones again, as they were still useful. The master is stronger. Shi looked at him from afar, her beautiful eyes shining brightly. Sure, the sect martial arts competition will be held in a year. At that time, you and I will appear together and kill everyone. Changge said with a flushed face. Yes. Shi nodded obediently. Immediately, Changge exited the system space and walked towards his house. Not long after, he arrived at the wooden house. This breath. Just after returning, he suddenly realized that something was wrong and raised his eyebrows. In his perception, there was a breath hidden behind the wooden house, as if waiting for him. That breath was also the 9th level of the divine palace. If it was in the past, Changge would never be able to sense it, but now that he has entered the divine palace, not only has his comprehensive strength increased dramatically, but his perception has also undergone a qualitative change. He walked over there and shouted in a deep voice, "Who is sneaking around? Get out!" Behind the house, Jianchi hid his breath here, preparing to observe secretly and investigate Changge quietly, but now that he heard the other party calling him, he opened his mouth wide and felt deeply incredible. What's going on? Didn't he hide his breath? He could actually sense it. I am a strong man in the divine palace, how could he, who has no cultivation, sense it? For a moment, Jianchi was very surprised, but on second thought, this is a good thing. The other party can sense him, doesn't it mean that the other party has been exposed? It's really a case of searching for something without any effort. He walked out from the back of the house with a cold and grim smile on his face, and said coldly, "Boy, I am the one who killed Yuankang. It seems that I guessed right. You have cultivation." At the same time as he finished speaking, his face suddenly changed and he was stunned. He sensed that Changge was actually swept by the terrifying pressure fluctuations of the divine palace realm. That fluctuation was like a vast and boundless deep sea, thick and deep and unparalleled, and it made him feel pressured. What's going on? The sword maniac was shocked. A transparent person who couldn't practice suddenly became the same level as him, which shocked him greatly. His eyes were wide open and he couldn't believe it at all. What's going on? You opened your eyes so wide, are you trying to kill me with your eyes? Changge sneered. He already understood what was going on. Taifeng sent someone to investigate him. But judging from his appearance, he seems not to be a disciple of the strange old man, but rather a master of the staff level beside him. However, how could Changge be afraid? Come one, kill one. Come two, then kill a pair. The sword maniac was shocked for a long time, but finally came to his senses. So what if his cultivation level is equal to his? He is called a sword maniac for a reason. He loves swords like his life, feeds swords with blood, and has been doing so for 30 years. His attainments in the way of swordsmanship have already reached an incredible level. He does not think that Changge can be better than him. Even if the cultivation level is the same, the gap in moves is difficult to make up. A long sword was unsheathed in the wind. The sword is 3 feet long and about 2 fingers wide, like a pool of autumn water. Before it is completely unsheathed, you can feel the sharp sword intent directly. The fallen leaves around were far away and automatically separated, cut in half by the invisible sword intent. Chapter 47, Kill the Sword Maniac with One Strike. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Go to hell. The sword maniac held the long sword and swung it gently, and a sharp sword light burst out in an instant. The ground exploded in an instant, attracted by this sword light, and the sharp sword intent shot out like a dazzling rainbow, stabbing quickly. Sensing the power of this sword, Changge smiled coldly, and with a thought, the dragon-slaying sword suddenly appeared in his hand. The heavy back of the knife exuded a domineering pressure, filled with a magnificent ancient atmosphere, no nonsense, running the Taichu Jidao code. The thick blood-red true energy in the body flowed, bursting out with the sound of thousands of troops galloping, and slashed forward with a knife. Bang! Bang ka! The heavy knife light flashed, with great force and heavy power, and instantly slashed on the sword light of the sword maniac, and suddenly a harsh sound of metal and iron clashing broke out. The sword light was obviously defeated, and it exploded into pieces at a glance. What? The sword maniac was shocked. He actually lost. How is it possible? How could you? Suddenly, he heard it, the sound of thousands of horses galloping in Changge's body, like thunder and deafening. This shocked his heart and his face changed. Instantly, he understood, the other party has a very high-level true chi, which is more powerful than his, enough to make up for the difference in moves. But what level of true chi is that, which can actually volatilize the potential in the body to the point of clustering steps? Could it be blue true chi? Hiss! The sword maniac dared not think about it anymore. You know, the sloppy old man at the door of the Sutra Pavilion has pure purple true chi, and this blue true qi is only a little worse than the purple true qi. This Su is actually a hidden talent. A ruthless character who plays the pig to eat the tiger. Just when he thought of this, he suddenly felt a strong knife energy coming from behind him. He looked up and found that Su Changge in front of him had disappeared without a trace. Oh no, he's behind me. Too late. Su Changge jumped out from the shadow of the sword maniac, and slashed his back with the dragon-slaying sword. 2 million pounds of strength, all rushed out. Instantly, sparks flew, lightning shot, sparks and lightning blasted together, dazzling. 1 knife. 2 knives. 3 knives. 20 knives. The supreme Gale electric knife showed its power, and slashed 20 knives in an instant, all on the back of the sword maniac. Crack. Crack. The sword maniac's well-trained body resounded with the sound of broken bones, and the dragon-slaying sword cut his back hard, splitting his spine, and still slashing fiercely inside. What kind of swordsmanship is this? The sword maniac's face changed drastically, as pale as paper, and he gasped heavily. The dragon-slaying sword had penetrated deep into his body, cutting from the back to the chest, piercing through, broken bones splattered, and blood flowed. Su Changge didn't waste time talking to him. He suddenly increased his strength and directly split him in half. The dragon-slaying sword was so powerful that it destroyed everything in its path. The sword maniac was bleeding profusely, and his bones kept splashing down. After a few breaths, the sword maniac fell down. He was split in half, and his eyes were extremely terrified, as if he was looking at a monster. He claimed to nourish the sword with blood and called himself a sword maniac, but now he died under the training and was cut in half. How could he know that Su Changge practiced the level 1 sword technique, and when he chopped it out with a sword, sparks and lightning were all the way, which he could not compete with at all. And Su Changge's first use of the Taichu shadow ghost step also caught him off guard. In fact, if they faced each other head-on, Su Changge could also crush him. He had blood-red true energy, and his real strength was 8 times that of the cultivators of the same realm. But he wanted to try the Taichu shadow ghost step, so he sneaked up from behind. It's worthy of being the secret method of Taichu Holy Land. It's really useful, that I have to say. This step is so useful, it can win by surprise and quickly resolve the battle. If it is used for assassination, it will be perfect. Immediately, he bent down, quickly fumbled around the sword maniac for a while, then punched his body to blow it up, and finally washed the crime scene, in the house. Su Changge opened the storage bag of the sword maniac, glanced at it, and his eyes lit up immediately. Earth-level spiritual weapons. He looked back and forth in the storage bag, and saw that there were 4 swords in it, all of which were earth-level spiritual weapons without exception. The sword maniac is a sword cultivator. He has been addicted to swords all his life and is proficient in swords. He doesn't love anyone except swords. These 4 earth-level spiritual weapons were all bought by him at a high price and carefully selected. Ordinary swords are not in his eyes at all. Earth-level spiritual weapons are only 1 level lower than level spiritual weapons. This is even more advanced than the Qishao blade given to him by the sloppy old man in the sutra library. How could Su Changge not be excited? And the names of these 4 swords are about to come out. Ziyan sword, Qingguang sword, Benlei sword, Xianqing sword. Su Changge took them all, and then searched the storage bag for a while, and successfully found more than 30,000 high-quality spirit stones, some high-level precious medicines, and precious gems and other things. He put the 30,000 spirit stones into another bag and separated them from the money subsidized by the system. The reason is very simple. Even if the money subsidized by the system is given out, it cannot be swiped, but it can be robbed from others. At the same time as the sword maniac died, Typhon, Du Sihai suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. If he couldn't get this feeling, it would be as if the plan had failed in the dark. Will the sword maniac encounter any accidents? That he was in a bad mood and got up to go to the Soul Lamp Hall. The Soul Lamp Hall, as the name suggests, contains the soul lamps of many disciples. Once a person dies, the soul lamp will go out. However, Du Sihai will not deal with the soul lamps of unimportant disciples. Soon, Du Sihai arrived at the soul lamp hall. He looked up and his face suddenly changed after just one glance. What? How is it possible that the sword maniac's soul lamp was extinguished? Chapter 48. What if I force you to do something? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Du Sihai looked at the soul lamp that was extinguished and without any flames. His face changed again and again, from shock to disbelief, and then from disbelief to rage. There is no doubt that Jianchi has been killed. First it was Yuankang, and then Jianchi. Lihua Peak was too much. There was nothing else to escape from, just the master and the apprentice. Crack, thought he was furious, clenched his fists hard, and his joints suddenly burst out with a sharp and crisp sound. Immediately, he raised his feet and left here, breaking through the sky, rushing to Lihua Peak. He wanted to go there in person and ask the other party for a method. Not long after, Du Sihai arrived at Lihua Peak. He pushed the door of the courtyard open with force, broke in, stared at Yi Qingyao who was stunned with a gloomy look, and shouted at her name, Yi Qingyao, you are too presumptuous. Yi Qingyao was confused at this time. What was going on? Why did the other party suddenly come over in anger? Did something big happen? He immediately asked, what happened? Still pretending to be confused? Du Sihai's face turned blue with anger, and he growled, Yuankang came to your place yesterday, and the next day, he was killed. He died miserably, being split in half. Then, I sent Jianchi to investigate, but I didn't expect that he was killed again. This matter is closely related to your Lihua Peak. Although he was angry and had a lot of anger in his heart, he didn't dare to shout loudly. Jianchi was a dead man, and he couldn't alarm the sect master, so he was very cautious, but because of this, the anger in his stomach became more intense, and he was so angry that his liver hurt. Others killed his people, but he couldn't. I was almost angry to death. Hearing Du Sihai's words, Yi Qingyao raised her eyebrows and was shocked. That jerk surnamed who died. Huh, well done. But who killed him? And that Jianchi, could it be killed by the same person? Who could it be? She knew that Jianchi was a strong man in the divine palace realm, and his cultivation was all on the sword. He loved swords like his life and was so powerful, but she didn't expect that he would be killed. Who else in her peak could kill Jianchi except herself? Could it be her disciple? But it's impossible, can't her disciple practice? All kinds of thoughts flashed through her mind, and she felt more and more that this matter was strange and incredible. Anyway, you insist that it was me, Lihua Peak, who killed your people, right? Yi Qingyao said coldly. That's right. It's just you two, master and disciple, no one else can escape. Du Sihai shouted fiercely. Yi Qingyao smiled, glanced at him coldly, and said calmly, okay, then you show me the evidence. 10,000 alpacas whistled through Du Sihai's heart. He was so angry just now that he came directly to ask for punishment. Where is the evidence? Even if there is evidence, it is probably burned by the other party long ago. For a moment, Du Sihai was so angry that his face turned red and his neck became thick. Finally, he snorted coldly and left with his sleeves swung. Without evidence, he couldn't speak out loudly, which was so frustrating. However, he wanted to leave now, but Yi Qingyao disagreed. Wait, she said coldly, looking directly at Du Sihai, and said with a veiled meaning, Du Sihai, you framed me, we have to settle this matter, right? Du Sihai's heart skipped a beat, and he said in a deep voice, how to settle? Of course, I will go to the sect master to judge. Yi Qingyao said calmly, you broke into Lihua Peak without any evidence, and that's not enough. You also sent people to sneak into my Lihua Peak to investigate. Do you think there is no one in my Lihua Peak? Du Sihai was shocked. He was bitten back by the other party. But he was not a pushover, and he shouted with courage, go, I will support you. Although the true identity of the sword maniac was not to be seen, he was cunning and had to pretend on the surface, so as not to let the other party see anything. After saying this, he didn't wait for Yi Qingyao to reply, and slammed the door and left. Yi Qingyao didn't say anything else, she was just threatening Du Sihai, and she didn't have any handle in her hand. Although the other party sent people to investigate secretly, she didn't know who killed the person now, so she had no evidence. Even if she went to find the sect master would have to see the evidence, otherwise he couldn't convince the crowd. Outside, Du Sihai just walked out of the door and turned around and suddenly saw Su Changge. Su Changge had just arrived. He had hidden his cultivation and was going to give all the treasures he got from the sword maniac to the beautiful master to use as subsidies, but he didn't expect to run into an enemy. It's really a narrow road for enemies. He glared at Du Sihai fiercely, sensing Su Changge's glare. Du Sihai was furious and his face turned green. Boy, don't push me, that he left a harsh word and turned away. Su Changge spat fiercely and shouted, what if I push you? Bite me if you dare. Du Sihai pretended not to hear anything and turned away. Su Changge laughed loudly, feeling very happy. He stopped wasting time with him and pushed the door into the courtyard. Chapter 49 Disciple, did you kill Yuankang in Jianchi? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Du Sihai left, he angrily returned to Taifeng Hall. I'm furious, that he was so angry that he was shaking and couldn't control his body. Boom, in anger, he suddenly took action and slapped the table and chair hard with his palm. The powerful force instantly smashed the tables and chairs into pieces and exploded into powder. He suspected Yi Qingyao and Su Changge, but there was no evidence. Also because of Jianchi's identity, he cannot handle this matter openly. This made him feel like there was a fire in his heart, which became more and more intense, and he was so angry that he stared. If Jianchi's identity is exposed, then the fact that he raises dead soldiers will be revealed. He doesn't just support one sword maniac, but an entire army of dead soldiers. If the sect leader knew that he was doing such a big thing behind his back, what would be the difference between that and rebellion? The result will definitely be a huge storm. It seems that this matter requires some planning. Du Sihai is very shrewd. When facing Su Changge just now, he retreated in order to advance, and then planned slowly when he comes back. Lihua Peak, courtyard. Yi Qingyao looked at Su Changge in front of her, wondering if she should ask a lot of questions in her heart. Finally, she asked. Disciple, were you the one who killed Yuankang in Jianchi? Su Changge frowned and was about to say something when Yi Qingyao in front of him suddenly sighed, shook his head and said, how is that possible? You obviously can't practice. Alas, you are thinking too much about being a teacher. Su Changge smiled and passed by. Yi Qingyao suddenly thought of something at this time, and said, Disciple, there are only two of you and me in Lihua Peak. Now Du Sihai is choked speechless by me. When he looks back, he will definitely take his anger out on you. You have to be extra special. Heart. But you don't have to worry. If your teacher is here, he won't dare to do anything to you. Remember, my teacher will always protect you. As she spoke, she was also wondering in her heart, maybe someone else had a problem with Tai Feng, but framed Lihua Feng. Of course, these were all her guesses, and Su Changge didn't know. After hearing her words, Su Changge felt moved. Master is really good to me, but today he was also on business. He shook his head to drive away the distracting thoughts, and was about to open the storage bag and give away the treasure, but when he was about to open the storage bag, he suddenly frowned. That's not right. The strange old man is already here. Then I have to be more careful when delivering things to avoid exposing any flaws. These weapons belong to Jianchi. Du Sihai doesn't have to be sure that he knows them all, or is even familiar with them, so I can't send it for now, but then I thought about it, and it seemed that I could send it in another way. There are many weapon forgers in Kanglan realm. Wouldn't it be great if we could smelt all these spiritual weapons and then forge them into new weapons before sending them out? Although this method is a bit troublesome, it is still good. There are also weapon casters in the sect, but if you go to find them, you will definitely reveal your flaws, so you can only choose to go down the mountain. Wait a minute, why don't you ask the Dark Soul Emperor first? As a grandfather-type golden finger, he should have a better way. In the movie Su Changge watched in his previous life, the grandfather-shaped golden finger was almost omnipotent. He could solve any problem the protagonist encountered, then why don't you take advantage of it? Just do it. He said goodbye to Yi Qingyao immediately and returned to his residence, in the house. Changge took out a top-quality spiritual stone, and the rich spiritual energy immediately filled the room with dew. He did not directly awaken the Dark Soul Emperor, but raised the corner of his mouth in a strange arc and broke the spiritual stone into two halves with a click. The Dark Soul Emperor is an old silver coin. I will never let him eat too much at one time. It is enough for him to absorb half a spirit stone. As long as you can wake up and talk, that's okay. If he eats too much, his strength will definitely recover, which will be detrimental to me. Changge's eyes flashed with light. I have to be on guard against everything in this world I'm in. These villains have too high IQs. Why don't they let themselves be transported into a brainless novel like Mahler's Gobi? Shaking his head, he took out the jade bracelet and placed the half-piece of spiritual stone next to the bracelet. There was only a squeak sound, and in the blink of an eye, half of the spiritual stone disappeared. Followed, an old voice sounded. Ha ha ha, I'm finally alive again. Hey, why is it only half a piece? That the moment the Dark Soul Emperor woke up, he was originally high-spirited, but the next moment he realized that the spiritual power in his body was not very sufficient and could not be maintained for too long. Senior, can you use these 4 swords in my hand? Changge spoke concisely. The words just fell. The Dark Soul Emperor laughed and said, why bother? I have lived for endless years, and this kind of thing happens all the time. You don't know, right? I am actually a fate master. I can erase any remaining aura on the weapon, and even change the fate of the original owner of the weapon. Changge suddenly beamed with joy. As expected of an old man, there are many ways. He also knew a little about fortune tellers. There are also many fortune tellers among those I saw in my previous life. This profession can communicate with others, observe the fate of others secretly, and even calculate when that person will die and what their fate will be. It is extremely terrifying, but what he didn't know was that the Dark Soul Emperor had already made some deductions about his fate at the auction house, but the result couldn't be deduced. At that time, the Dark Soul Emperor was surprised and overjoyed. Even he couldn't see through fate, so this boy must be extraordinary. He didn't know that Changge's chance was covered by the system. This was just the basic function of the system. Please help me erase the fate residue on it and change the appearance by the way. Changge thought that since he had done it, he would do it thoroughly. Not only did he want to make fate unrecognizable, but he also wanted to make the appearance unrecognizable. Simple. The Dark Soul Emperor grabbed the 4 spiritual weapons in his hand, tapped the sword with 2 fingers, and the long sword suddenly made a buzzing sound, as if a line in the dark was broken. This means that the fate of this spiritual weapon and the sword maniac has been cut off. In this way, even other fortune tellers cannot see who the original owner of this sword is. Immediately, the Dark Soul Emperor attacked again, and with one palm, the 4 spiritual weapons were flattened and turned into a ball of fine iron. Then, under the pressure of the Soul Emperor, they were cast into 4 war halberds. Seeing the long sword turned into a war halberd, Changge smiled happily. Okay, here you go. The Dark Soul Emperor handed over the recast war halberd. Well. Changge took it in his hand and immediately planned to return to the courtyard to find the beautiful master. At this moment, the Dark Soul Emperor suddenly sensed something and turned his head to look outside. He didn't care at first, but when he saw the situation outside, his pupils suddenly condensed and he gasped. Hiss. That is. Chapter 50 Saint's Opportunity, Sky Eagle City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the powerful Dark Soul Emperor, Changge took a deep breath, and Changge's eyes also narrowed. What happened? He also looked outside. I saw a figure in the sky above Lihua Peak, who was flying at the sword flying school. He recognized it. It was a disciple of Tai Feng named Sikong Tuesday. When Sikong Tu passed by the sky above Lihua Peak, he lowered his head slightly and glanced down. His face suddenly showed disdain, and he immediately left with his sword. You should be passing by me, right? Su Changge murmured, but he didn't understand why the Dark Soul Emperor was frightened like that. The Dark Soul Emperor took another breath, his wrists were trembling, and he said in a trembling voice, Saint, what? Su Changge's expression changed slightly and he said hurriedly, is he a saint? No. No. The Dark Soul Emperor's expression changed and he said, I have seen through his fate. He is about to meet a saint. No, to be precise, it is a future saint, with the appearance of a saint, extremely terrifying. Su Changge raised his eyebrows and said, details. Wait a minute, I'll deduce it first. The Dark Soul Emperor closed his eyes. After half an hour, he opened his eyes again, with a look of shock in his eyes. We figured it out. Sikong Tu took over a sect mission after the third empress. The mission was in Eagle City. During the mission, he met a maid from the Huang family in Eagle City. That maid was a slave bought by the Huang family from the slave market. She was bullied. When Sikong Tu met her, she was being beaten and kicked by the Huang family. After Sikong Tu saw her, he rescued her like a dog. Little did he know that this maidservant was the reincarnation of a saint. Once she got a certain opportunity, she would transform into an immortal, and her mortal body would transform into a psychic jade body, and her spiritual energy would automatically enter her body. Even if you drink water, you can improve your cultivation. After being rescued, the maid was grateful to Sikong Tu. After saying these words, Su Changge was also extremely surprised and said, damn it, what a great opportunity. It is conceivable that the maidservant is very grateful to Sikong Tuesday. When she transforms into a fairy queen in the future, she will definitely bring endless benefits to Sikong Tu. But what a pity. This kind of good thing is not Sikong Tu's turn. Su Changge immediately packed up and prepared to kill the maid before Sikong Tu. At this moment, the Dark Soul Emperor lost his voice and said, oops, I'm overdrawn again and can't maintain my figure. But before that, I advise you to rush to Eagle City quickly, save that maid, and befriend her. Gain favor, and she will become a saint in the future, and you will get a lot of benefits. Go. At this point, the Dark Soul Emperor's figure dimmed countless times. He could no longer maintain his figure and fell into a deep sleep. It's because he only absorbed half of the spiritual stone. I know it without you. Su Changge raised a smile and was about to rush to Eagle City. But before that, these 4 halberds naturally have to be given away first. He moved and hurried to Yiqinyao's courtyard. Squeak. After opening the door, Su Changge walked forward and said, Master, these 4 halberds are the best opportunities one have ever had. I give them to you. Without waiting for her answer, Su Changge directly dropped the halberd in front of her, and then left at the speed of light. Only a chic back is left. Disciple. Yiqinyao looked at his back from a distance, feeling moved in her heart. She glanced at the 4 halberds, and saw that the halberds were brand new, emitting a sharp cold light, extremely sharp, and faintly piercing a big hole in the space. This turns out to be the Earth Spirit Soldier. Yiqinyao recognized it immediately. There is only a slight difference between the Earth-level spiritual soldiers and the super-level spiritual soldiers. This is a treasure. No wonder his disciple was the best opportunity he had ever had, but he didn't keep it for himself, and dedicated it all to himself selflessly. What a good disciple. For a time, she was thinking a lot, her heart was filled with ups and downs, and her eyes were full of thoughts and emotions.